The Bible tells us to pray without ceasing. And most of the time, we pray for God to give us things. We pray for love. We pray for good health and for blessings. We pray for financial security. But rarely do we ever pray for God to remove things from our lives, especially the things we don't want to give up. Although we tend to shy away from loss can be a powerful tool. The loss of a job can be the birth of a business. A friend walking away can actually be God's way of only surrounding you with people who will help you, people who will encourage you and push you to new heights in your faith. Sometimes the answer to your prayers is in what you lose, because not everything attached to you is good for you. Not everything you desire or wish for is beneficial for you. You may want that door to be opened. You may want that opportunity. But there is a God in heaven, a God who knows that this step will lead you here, and you're not ready to face what's here. But this step, however, is good for you because it will develop your character. It will develop your resilience. Sometimes your prayers are answered by what you lose. The Lord is ever gracious and faithful to the extent that He can use a loss for our own good. I stand here today and I can say, if it had not been for what I went through, if it had not been for my losses, I would not have been elevated to where I am today. The battles I lost yesterday led me to my victories this day.
The thing I love about the Lord is that His ways are not like our ways. What God does, how God works, is beyond our understanding or comprehension. The way that God chooses to answer your prayers may not always be what you expect. Sometimes your prayers are indeed answered by loss. Sometimes God answers your prayers by taking something away from you, and that can hurt. But after that initial sting, you may start to realize that this painful experience was a blessing in disguise. Maybe people begin to walk out of your life. Maybe you start losing friends that you care about, but later on, you realize that they were hurting you more than they were helping. And so God was actually answering your prayer for a joyful and drama-free life. Maybe you lose a relationship, but as a result, you also lose the anxiety that came with it. You begin to feel freer and happier, just like you once prayed for. Maybe you lose an opportunity that you were really excited about, but later you find out that God was setting you up for something even greater. In all these situations, you might not see the positive consequences at first, but one day, when you look back, you will suddenly be able to connect the dots. You will start to see how God was actually being gracious by removing that person, that relationship, or that opportunity from your life. Of course, none of this is a surprise to God. Isaiah 55 verse 8 says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord." As much as God hates to see our pain, He knows that sometimes pain is necessary for our ultimate joy. We must occasionally experience losses in order to grow. God knows exactly what we need and at what time we need it. We just have to trust Him. We just have to let Him work in the way only He can do. Because we have all the blind spots, areas of our life that are unhealthy or toxic to our relationship with God, and we don't even realize it. But in His mercy, God steps in and removes those things for us, and He replaces them with something better. So right now, if you're going through a loss, if you're going through a season of disappointment, consider the possibility that God is answering your prayers in an unconventional way. Consider the possibility that through this loss, He is rearranging your life. Through this loss, He is strengthening you. Through this loss, He is leading you to better. God doesn't always answer our prayers the way we want, but He always gives us exactly what we need.
Most of us don't like to be tested. Tests conjure up bad images in our minds. But how will you ever know what God is capable to do if your faith is never tested? If there was never a Goliath, David would have never known that God always wins. If Moses was never trapped between an army that wanted to kill him and the Red Sea, then he would have never known that God can make a way where there seems to be no way. If Paul and Silas were never placed in prison, if they were never chained, they never would have known that God is a chain breaker. I tell you this to encourage you. Don't give up on God. Sometimes God will allow you to go through deep waters before He provides a way out. That's the testing of your faith. It builds character. It builds resilience in you so that in the future, you remain steadfast in the Lord. Keep the faith, child of God. Keep the faith. Don't let your present circumstances destroy your faith in God. Don't let this setback or disappointment make you doubt God's ability. Keep the faith. I want to encourage you to believe that God's hand is on your life. Believe that He's working even when you can't see it. Believe that He will never leave you nor forsake you even when you don't feel it. And remember that feelings have nothing to do with faith. God is sovereign and He is faithful, so don't give up, but instead keep the faith no matter what.